Sue Bird, the newly appointed managing director of Team USA basketball, just experienced what can only be described as a full-blown superfan meltdown. No, it wasn't about a Grammy or Taylor Swift. It was all about Caitlin Clark, the recently named USA Basketball Women's National Team Managing Director. Sue Bird won 4 WNBA championships, was an All-Star 13 times, was a 5-time Olympic gold medalist, and more. If there were an MVP for admiration, Sue Bird would have won in a blowout. But what exactly did she say, and why is the entire sports world freaking out? Oh, and did she just hint at a certain international tournament in 2028? That's essentially what Grant Hill did for the men's team. So like a general manager picks the coach, picks the players, and then wins some gold medals. Unstoppable long-range shooter, lighting up the WNBA. Sue didn't just tip her hat. She essentially composed a heartfelt basketball sonnet. We're talking about the general of generals, the queen of calm execution who composed championship-winning plays like a composer with a basketball, and now she's standing in awe of Caitlin Clark. Not only did she receive a compliment, but she also received something even rarer, the Sue Bird seal of approval. Sue doesn't need a crown. Her resume includes WNBA titles, Olympic golds, and a presence so commanding that it could stop a room with just a raised eyebrow. Clark, in a way that makes even the most seasoned sports fans feel like they're 13 again watching their heroes. This isn't just a nod of approval, it's a passing of the torch, and the torch is on fire. If you're thrilled about Caitlin competing in the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles, leave a comment below with your gold medal and let's go crazy. As you mentioned, Caitlin beat Brazil back in Iowa, and now they have to put a new logo down. When Sue Bird speaks, the basketball world doesn't just listen. It rewinds the tape and takes notes. When she talked about Caitlin Clark, it wasn't just that she's talented. It was the moment Sue launched a full-blown statement of admiration that sounded more like a prophecy than flattery. Her praise wasn't casual. Rather, it was a declaration that made you stop and think. Ooh, we're witnessing the beginning of something generational here. I mean, I couldn't agree more. She and everyone else know it. The game's ratings were 1. The game was aired on ESPN, had a peak viewership of 1 million. 6, and she only performed like, after 18 minutes, the Caitlin Clark effect is back. I'm sure everyone was excited because, to be fair, Sue Bird isn't easily impressed. This is a woman who turned UConn into a dynasty, destroyed defenses while texting most likely, and still managed to accumulate 5 Olympic golds while juggling leadership and laser-guided accuracy. She's played against legends and coached up-and-coming talent, so when Sue Bird says, "This is different," you don't believe her. When Sue Bird endorsed Caitlin, it wasn't subtle. It was Da Vinci entering a gallery, seeing a high school painting, and saying, "Frame this." Serena Williams paused mid-serve to watch a junior match, and there was also an adorable moment where, of course, practically all the Brazilian players asked for her autograph and tried to take pictures in an attempt to get a picture of her. We all remember how Caitlin Clark was left off of the 2024 roster, which left many perplexed as to why the biggest name in the sport wasn't included. The decision made under Cheryl Reeves' leadership sparked outrage. This nod of approval wasn't about potential. Rather, it was a full recognition of greatness. That kind of nod is currency in sports. It buys legacy influence and the kind of credibility that can't be earned from highlight reels alone. Now let's add a little Olympic tension. Nevertheless, now that Sue Bird is in charge, her remarks didn't sound like they were intended to exclude Clark from the upcoming team sheet. I would much rather watch paint dry and dirt simply be moved around because Caitlin Clark isn't on the team. If she is, it's appointment TV. Whoever did this, please take your brain, put it in a museum, and study it for how foolish you are. Her remarks weren't just compliments, they were breadcrumbs that led directly to Los Angeles. It was good to see Caitlin Clark back in action at the Fever, which is their second preseason game. They have a lot of talent, so it's like everyone is trying to put it together. Now that they have a leg up on a team like Dallas, where we say starting from, the message was clear in 2028. Caitlin Clark is not just a rising star. She is part of the plan. The kind of plan that includes gold medals and worldwide dominance. Sue Bird is rebuilding Team USA with a vision that obviously includes Caitlin Clark front and center. I believe Sophie Cunningham has already made her presence known, so it will be interesting to see how they proceed. Sue's endorsement didn't just land, it exploded, and social media was flooded with reactions from fans, other athletes, and even broadcasters. People who had been indifferent or even doubtful about Caitlin's superstardom now have to face the fact that she's not going anywhere. While some voices in the WNBA establishment continue to minimize or criticize Clark's rapid ascent, Sue Bird took the high road and the right path in a league where not everyone wants to see the new era flourish. She's the future, and Sue Bird just put that in writing with a mic drop at Kelsey Mitchell's ball. And Caitlin continuing to impress. She's going to break records nonstop for the next couple of years. It's just going to be a constant record break. The true power of Sue's message was not just about Caitlin's shooting stats or her marketability. It was a recognition of something more fundamental than the game. And that brings us to Indiana, which I believe everyone agrees has changed from a team that made the playoffs last year and lost in the first round while they were building all these young pieces, of course, Caitlin Clark, to now an immediate contender with all the moves that they have made. Subbard simply changed the conversation by shifting the tone from skepticism to celebration. And in doing so, she not only validated Caitlin Clark, but also opened the door to a future where talent, not politics, leads the way. If you're still not sure whether Caitlin Clark belongs on the biggest stage in the world, you might want to listen to the most decorated woman to explain that the WNBA and USA basketball will be stronger. I think Natasha Howard stands out in the game, and I love playing with TSH. I can't say enough about how much I love playing with her. She's just a glue player, and I don't think she gets enough credit for what she does, because a lot of what she does doesn't appear in the box score, but she's always in the right place at the right time. I think a player like that complements what Indiana is building, and if anyone's qualified to break down brilliance, it's Sue. Since she was barely tall enough to steal cookies from the top shelf, Sue has been reading basketball plays like others read bedtime stories. While other kids were learning the difference between offense and defense, Sue was decoding defensive schemes and memorizing help side rotations. Sue didn't just play the game, she dissected, refined, and executed it with the precision of a scientist dunking formulas. So when Sue Bird says Caitlin Clark has it, you can be sure it is more uncommon than a solar eclipse during the finals. So Sue's nod indicates that Caitlin is the real deal. She is a franchise mainstay who could perform admirably while orbiting the Earth with a deflated ball and still finish in SportsCenter's top 10. They obviously added Sophie Cunningham through trade, a player who is, a 3-and-D type who has been to the finals, so has that playoff experience. She is also just tough. She is mentally and physically tough, which gives them an advantage. Finally, but last but not least, they added Dana Bonner, who I believe really elevated it to a new level for most people. So now you're like, oh, they're a contender. Sue Bird is also experienced with being the face of a franchise. She's had to bear expectations so high that they could make your spine hurt. She's endured media storms, intense scrutiny, and countless physical matchups, all while making it appear easier than a layup drill. I think the biggest part of DB joining this team is that she's already played for Steph, so I think that's going to help bridge the gap, because as we go along, we're going to talk about Vegas and Seattle, Atlanta, which is really going to be with Stephanie White as the head coach. Experience doesn't come from a marketing campaign. It comes from surviving the fire and still showing up better, sharper, and stronger. So when she praises Caitlin Clark, she's not just hyping a highlight machine, she's indurating someone who's built to endure the grind and still shine. It's going to be the team that finds their chemistry because although they're adding games, the season is still short. Having Stephanie White there, who's already coached defensive back, really helps. Let's face it, Sue Bird isn't just a basketball phenomenon. She's also a fashion icon, sneaker royalty commentator, and a cultural influence. She was the coach of Sorry, Yeah, Thank You before becoming the head coach of Indiana. While some former athletes sit around trading back in my day stories, Sue is busy showcasing the next generation. She sees Clark not as a passing trend, but as a once-in-a-generation talent with the game, the personality, and the vision to shake the WNBA to its core. Sue is a community activist and the epitome of cool under pressure. She's the kind of legend who doesn't need to say much to command a room. Sue Bird's praise of Kate Olin Clark is the basketball equivalent of a spiritual awakening. It's like Steph Curry showing up at your practice to fix your jumper while LeBron James steams your jersey and tells you you've got next. It's history-making stuff, the kind of moment that deserves a Broadway musical, a documentary series, and a sneaker drop. But naturally, the skeptics immediately fled their comment sections as soon as Sue said anything remotely positive. If you haven't been following along, Clockwork the Fever is actively working to make sure that Caitlin Clark and company have a legitimate contending lineup for the upcoming season. They have Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, and they've made sure to re-sign Kelsey Mitchell, which was a big move. They also acquired Natasha Howard and Dana Bonner, traded for Sophie Cunningham, and still have Lexi Hull. Finally, they made a move that is literally my favorite WNBA free agency. They signed Sydney Colson, the face of the WNBA. Anyway, Sue has played. When Sue supports Clark, it's not just validation, it's a torch being passed ceremoniously and with intent. Basketball is more than just a career for Sue, it's her love language. She breathes it, sleeps it, and lives it. She's probably out here dreaming of curl screens, so when she sees Caitlin carve up a defense or casually drain 30 fodders, it's not just admiration, it's kinship. It's realizing someone who speaks the same rare basketball dialect should they have. Been on Team USA, I would have placed Caitlin Clark on Team USA. Any USA basketball experience for a young person like Caitlin Clark will benefit America for years and years and years. So yes, I would have placed her on Team USA. Let's take a moment to look at the wider picture. Women's basketball is in very capable hands, and the passing of the torch is taking place in the public eye with pride and loudness. It's absurd that someone would disregard Sue Bird's voice in this discussion, but some people still want to gauge Clark's potential based on whether she's trending on Instagram that day. Come on. Sue isn't just praising a hot hand. She's identifying a generational force and validating her on a level that no highlight reel could ever achieve. I believe that everyone expects Caitlin Clark to succeed, and I'm sure the NBA does as well. When the league commissioner, who is actually Kathy's boss, to put it this way, Sue Bird did more than just tip her hat. She symbolically dunked holy water from the logo and declared Clark blessed. This is what this moment truly is. Legacy, recognizing legacy, not hype, but heritage, not clout, but confirmation. Let's not be confused when he says that it was a great miss for women's basketball to have left Caitlin Clark off the team. You better make sure you get her on the team instead. As we wait for the Caitlin Clark era, one thing is certain, Sue Bird is not just watching, she is analyzing every assist, appreciating every jumper, and probably smiling every time Clark leaves the defender spinning her presence. Her words and her support carry more weight than most franchises, and with Sue's support, you might want to switch to badminton if you're still squinting to see the impact. This is top-tier basketball royalty doing what they do best, recognizing greatness and maintaining the culture. With the full support of the basketball gods, Caitlin is not only beginning her professional career, but also a new era. This next chapter is going to be dazzlingly bright. If you're thrilled about Caitlin competing in the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles, leave a comment below with the gold medal, like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you don't miss anything. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next